Yeah, I just felt compelled to make a video to talk about the submarine that is possibly stuck still at the bottom of the ocean. Obviously they were heading down to see the Titanic 2.5 miles down. Man, that's a far way down. I was just listening to the news and they said the pressure at the bottom where the Titanic is basically like taking the Eiffel Tower, tipping that whole metal structure upside down on its tip, and that tip is on your foot, and that's the same amount of pressure as at the bottom. And the temperatures are anywhere from like 5 to 30 degrees, and it's insane. uh, as I produce this video, they're down to probably less than, realistically, probably maybe 10, maybe 15 hours of oxygen. And gosh, after looking at all the reports and looking at the submarine and then listening to the experts kind of weigh in their 2 cents, man, it sure seems like that submarine company, uh, true or not, it seems like they had a bunch of issues over the last year or two. And oh my gosh, it seems like it should have been probably shut down properly and maybe taken a year to just go over the hull and the safety procedures. And it just seems crazy to like just lower that submarine and just let it drop for 2.5 hours. And I'm still blown away that for real, to control it was nothing more than basically a $50 to $100 Nintendo Game Boy type controller. I literally have a game like that. And when I saw the controller, I was like, wow. Um, what was kind of surprising, and it kind of bums me out. I am a massive smartass. I crack jokes all the time. I love to make people laugh. I take the butt of every joke, but I'm kind of bummed out to see the massive amounts of jokes that are going on, just making fun of the situation, or just because I think two or three of them have attained billionaire status, which is amazing. To have 1,000 million, that is um, most. It's almost incomprehensible, or comprehensible. I mean, to me. But then you got to ask yourself, if I had all the money in the world, would I be conservative? Would I live a conservative life? Would I live good, or would I live great? Or would I live amazing, or would I live conservative? And gosh, unless you are a billionaire, that's only that billionaire can ask themselves, I'm going to go get in a submarine that might be a little bit subpar. It's a submarine, but it might be a subpar submarine. Looking at the inside, and you can only fit 5 people in it, and it's really cramped. You can't even extend your legs. Only one person can kind of stretch their legs out. So all you can do is just maybe sit sideways, sit on the floor, do whatever you can, just to kind of stretch properly. I know in a perfect world, if it went down properly, it was only supposed to be down there for a couple hours. It floats around a little bit. Maybe it can land on one of the decks or the top of the Titanic, and then it comes back up, and it takes about 2.5 to 3 hours to go down, and obviously 2.5 to 3 hours to come up properly. You just can't crack it open, and your lungs and just I've been listening off and on all day. It's been kind of distracting, and God, it's at the end of the day right now, and I can't imagine if there was 1,000,000 to 1 chance. It's probably even greater than that at this point. But boy, they were showing graphs of like the Eiffel Tower mixed with the Statue of Liberty, how far down certain oceans are. And then it just put in perspective how far down 2.5 miles really is. And if the submarine lost power about 10,000 feet down, which an expert predicted, because it lost contact about an hour and a half once it was surface down. And that person predicted, well, probably around 7,500 to 10,000 square feet, it might have had a seam just come apart and it would implode. It would just absolutely just go like this. Not to be graphic, but it would definitely just smash itself. And gosh, I was just thinking it's almost better in a really grotesque way that if that happened, at least it would be instant. I can't imagine it'd be more than 5 seconds to kind of experience whatever they had to experience, and it would hopefully be over, and it would just sink to the bottom, and we can find it properly, and then come up with some type of regulations for a company to maybe take precautions where a second one always has to go, twins have to be always there side by side. If people do have 250,000 a piece to go down, I just would figure, okay, make a couple of those. One's a backup. But boy, if there's only one and there's a ship kind of hanging out up there, and if it's floating down for 2.5 hours, well, if a cable gets twisted, they're thinking maybe it hit the side of the Titanic and maybe it got stuck somehow. But they're thinking with the communication being cut an hour and a half after it left the surface, it didn't have enough time to get all the way to the bottom. Or maybe, I don't know, it imploded and then maybe it goes faster down. Obviously, they want a controlled, But God, I don't even know why I'm making a video. I just sit here and I just been watching like 10-minute little excerpts of pros, and it just comes down to like, gosh, dang it. I always question myself, like, God, you get up and you hustle and you just do the best you can to make money and try to live a good life and provide and maybe have some fun and try to make a difference. And God, it's just such an eye-opener about how shocking life can be. But I just got to look at, okay, the 5 people that went down, I think there was 1 pilot and 4 people that paid to go experience that. And I think one was called Mr. Titanic. He's been down there 37 times. And I'm thinking, wow. I mean, just a question, I guess to challenge yourself, knowing dang well that after you sign to get on that submarine, it basically says, hey, if you get killed, sorry, but there's no recourse. We'll do the best we can to go down and up. The pilot, he definitely, you got to trust, he wants to go down and back up. But boy, what a bummer. I even read, what are the chances of this? The pilot is married to this lady. Well, this lady's great-great-grandfather is the grandfather and the wife that died on the Titanic. Now, they were portrayed by actors. If you remember the movie with James Cameron in 1997 with Leonardo DiCaprio, do you remember there was a scene where an older couple, about 80 years old, they knew the boat was going down, they didn't really have a chance, but they decided to just lay in bed together holding hands. And it was a very sad scene. It actually makes me sad now thinking about it. But those 2 people that James Cameron wrote the movie about, those were the 2 people that got killed in real life. Well, that's the woman now who's married to the pilot. It's their great-great-grandfather. And I'm just like, geez. I mean, is that, what are the odds of that? Or did she just go, gosh, I'm going to try to marry somebody that wants to go down to the Titanic because my great-great-grandfather and mother were on that, but I'm just, my head's spinning. I'm looking at the submarine on the inside. I look at the outside. It looks okay, but on the inside, God, it's just so cramped. And would I pay $250,000 to go down there if there's never been an accident ever? If I attained millions of dollars or $1 billion, would I want to just take me or somebody down with me, like a friend or a family member, and say, look, I got $500,000. Do you want to go down for 3 hours? When we're down there, there's about an hour and a half, 2 hours, maybe a little longer, to look out this little hole. It's 22 inches, 7 inches thick, and everybody takes turns looking. And I guess maybe there's some lights where at least you can see a little bit of the Titanic to say that you were there, okay? And then you just do what you do, maybe take some pictures, slowly come back up, and at least you have a tale. That's a hell of a tale. One thing I did just to end this video is when I lived in Las Vegas, one of my best buddies, Brett, he came down and we said, hey, let's go to the Titanic exhibit at the Luxor. So we went near the end of the night. I think it got over, I think they closed it at 10. We got there about 8 something, but we had plenty of time to look at artifacts. We went in the 3rd floor room where they slept, the second, the first class. We looked at gym equipment. There was plates. There was currency that was so smashed airtight that when they brought up a lot of stuff, that it was still preserved rather well. And in the very last room, it had a 50,000 pound piece of the hull. And if you see this exhibit in Las Vegas, you'll know what I mean. It's the very last room you go in, and they have the temperature of the room the same temperature as when the ship went down. And boy, it puts it in perspective, because when you live in Las Vegas, you're used to 80 to 100 degrees. You go in this room and it's like 32, and your breath, and you're not ready in winter clothes. You're in Vegas and you're going to a $20 exhibit. You go in that last room and you figure, even if you had winter clothes on, you're jumped in the water, your body is now about 30 degrees, which can last, 10, 15 minutes, maybe swimming around trying to generate some heat. But wow, that put it in perspective. Well, what I did, me being Mr. Smarty Pants, I asked the security officer, look, if we give you a couple 20s, is there any way that we can jump over the electronic barrier? Because I want to touch the hull. Because if you go there, there's a hull hanging, 50,000 pound piece, and it's black. It looks like charcoal. It's cold as hell, and it almost has a vibration in that room. It's eerie. It's hanging with these big chains, and you can probably see it on YouTube. I'm actually going to Google YouTube after I end this video. So the guy goes, you know what? It's late at night. You guys are the last people in here. I'm going to turn off the laser beam thing, jump over, touch it for a second, and then come back because, I don't want to lose my job. And I go, look, I don't want to be that guy that's, but if you could make my day, if I could just touch a part of the Titanic, that'd be awesome. And my friend Brett's laughing, going, God, what the hell? What are you doing, man? You're a grown-ass man, blah, blah, blah. I go, look, I gotta say I touched a piece. Man, to 1910 to 1911, that thing was being built, and I think it went down, around 1912. So he turned off the laser electric fence. I jumped over, I touched it, and I just sat there, and there's a vibration because it's hanging 50,000 pounds, and there's just something about it. And I sat there grabbing it. Then my friend Brett's all, oh, what the hell? And he's older than me. He jumps in, and here's a bunch of guys 50-something years old just sitting there, and we're looking at each other going, we are touching the frickin' Titanic. This was welded by people. The rivets, this had life. It was sailing, and it only lasted a couple days, and it is 2.5 miles down for 100 years. And here I am for free. The guy was kind enough not even to take our $40, and I was able to touch the Titanic. And I know that's not in comparison of people that are fortunate enough to have enough money to maybe go down there for an hour or two. But God, I kept asking myself, if you are a billionaire and you got everything in life you want, from food, shelter, cars, trips, do you want to live a life of more, I don't know if you'd call it radical, but passion? You always see people that have attained certain things, like live a life of passion. And you got like Richard Branson that's jumping out of things, and Elon Musk doing everything from tunnels underneath to Starlight Link up in the skies to Tesla, Twitter, going to the moon. I mean, that guy, love him or hate him, man, that son bitch has done a lot. Okay. Yeah, we're similar aged. So, but I love LiveGood, and I'm just sitting here going, God, my whole plan is just everybody to just make $50, $100, $500, $1,000 a month. Just somebody just have success where they're smiling, going, man, I got some time into promoting LiveGood, and I'm actually making a couple bucks. That's my goal. It's so realistic. And that's what makes me excited. And I'm no billionaire or 100 millionaire, that's for sure. I've done okay in life, but I don't know. I had to turn my webcam on because I have a computer off to the right here. And I kept putting the news on thinking, God, are they hearing the pinging? They heard some dinging every 30 minutes. They're thinking either they're alive hitting it the best they can, or maybe it's just part of the debris hitting the ocean. Maybe the sub, maybe it exploded and some of the parts are just drifting down. And when they hit the floor, there's some type of ping, but no one knows until they find it. And I'm sure they will. With today's technology, will they find a white metal submarine the size of an SUV or so? They'll find it. It just sucks knowing that right now, physically, they're going to run out of air. By the time I go to bed tonight, they're done. And it's just, God, it just freaks me out that I'm going to sleep and I have a chance of waking back up. And what would I think if I was on that sub with 4 people? My dad, another guy, and a pilot. There's just 5 of you looking at each other. You can only go to the bathroom, in this little space with a black towel, they said. But that's the last thing on your mind. When you're cold like that, your body can only, all you can do is huddle, rub your skin. Obviously, when you're panicking, you use way more oxygen. You can read all you want about how to preserve breathing. It's just horrific, isn't it? So anyway, man, I just had to talk about it. I'm by myself right now, and I just want to reflect, or just, I don't know what, but I just feel like talking when I go through emotions like this, watching this unfold. There's a lot of ships right now there. They finally arrived. I'm bummed out that it took 8 hours before they said, hey, we got some problems, because ships could have got there 8 hours from right now as I make this video. And if they're still alive and they die because there's not enough time to hook up to the sub and properly get it up in time, because you can only hold your breath for a minute or two. You can only go about, 8 minutes before you're brain dead? So how sad is it that if they do find this sub and they have to take about 3 hours, probably longer, or maybe not, but it's going to take probably a minimum of 3 hours, because you can't do it super fast. You're going to somehow mess up the sub and make it implode, or mess up the lungs of everybody. But dang it, man, it's pretty heavy. It's pretty heavy when you analyze certain things, and it's just kind of a reality check for me when it comes down to wealth, money, what you would do if you would have freedom, just trying to make a difference, religious or not. It's just like, God, you just want to make a mark or just do something cool while you're alive, and you can acknowledge it, going, man, I did something good. I haven't been proud of myself the last, 10 years, 50 years, but damn, you just want to do something cool. And right now, when you're sealed in that darn submarine, if you're still alive, what an end. What an end to 5 great lives. But like I said at the beginning of the video, if it did implode, at least it was over probably within 5 seconds. And that's probably the best case scenario when they do find the sub. And there could be a miracle, though. You know what? By the time, I don't even think I'm going to sleep tonight. I'm going to probably get up anyway to take a pee. And first thing I'm going to do is put on the damn TV and probably go to the internet and just kind of look and see if they have any news. So, all right, guys. You know what? Live good, feel good. Just make a difference and do the best you can. That's all we can do every 24 hours, and make decisions that are hopefully good for us all. So, all right, joincorey.com. Man, kind of a weird video for me, but it was kind of therapy. So anyway, live good, feel good, guys. We'll see you next video. All right, take care.